Live button. Let's see what it says here. A little wheel is spinning. And it says we're going live. Hey, there it is. It says that we are live for the Westlake Charter School Wave February 15th, 2022 Coffee Talk. My name is Dr. Ike. I'm the executive director of our Westlake Charter School. And let's see, to my left, right over here is our K-8 principal.
Hi, good evening. It's Mrs. Kayau.
And up there in the corner over there is our high school principal.
Hi, everybody. Mrs. Batten.
And right over here is our Wave president.
I'm Amber.
She is Amber Houston. All right, everybody. Welcome to Wave Coffee Talk. We're going to jump into celebrations and do what we do. But hey, team, I'm just going to put you on the spot. This is totally unrehearsed. What's everybody celebrating today that's not on a slide in front of you? I'm just going to whip it around, give you a chance to celebrate something good in the neighborhood. What is something cool either at school or at home or in our community that you are celebrating? I'm going to go Kayau, Batten, Houston, right in that order. Kayau, I know you hate going first, but I'm putting you on the spot, man. What do you got? What are you celebrating, Jen?
So I'm going to celebrate something that you witnessed today. So I have a bunch of little students that come and knock on the back door. Our campus is really beautiful right now. It's springtime and it is just well kept and it's great. But the kindness that students have been giving me personally, they knock on the door and they deliver me these yellow flowers that are a part of the bushes. And it literally happens like 5 times a day, but it brings joy to me. And it's also joyous when people are on a call with me and they're banging on the door and I come back with flowers. But I just celebrate our kids for being so thoughtful.
Our kids are so kind. They are so kind. Ms. Batten, what are you celebrating?
I'll celebrate student kindness also. I think that we have a celebration that's on the slide, so I'll allude to it in my celebration, that our 9th graders got an opportunity to go off-site and experience an event. Again, stay tuned for the celebration to see what that event was. But as we were wrapping up that event, the staff that they encountered said over and over again just how polite and kind and respectful our 9th graders were. And I'm so proud of those students every time they get to shine and show who they are. So celebrating that.
I can't wait to celebrate that event. Ms. Houston, what are you celebrating?
Sure. I just want to celebrate how much fun it was for the kids, not only my students here at home, but also like the walking school bus students that I've been talking to, celebrating Valentine's Day together in class. And it was, just coming together again. They hadn't done it last year, obviously. And so they all just had so much fun and they just loved giving each other gifts and giving their teachers. I mean, we're still on kindness there, giving their teacher gifts and cards. And it was just a really fun day. And they were all so happy this morning.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love it. Gosh, I got so many little celebrations in my brain. And I don't know what's on the slides, but Mrs. Hubbard's 5th grade class right now is studying how seeds spread in the wind. Birds eat a berry and then they spread the seeds. And that's how plant life spreads across our region. And so they built these little like paper airplanes. Mrs. Hubbard's up on the admin roof today. I come out of the admin office door, and there's all the 5th graders out there out in front of Hubbard's class, and on the roof is Mrs. Hubbard with the paper airplane being going 5, 4, 3, and it was super windy today. And these paper airplanes took off, and the kids, you could see them being like, oh, like I get this. So seeds spread across our region. I just love joyful learning. I think Mrs. Hubbard's amazing. And her kids were like laughing and screaming and they got it. You saw these little light bulbs going like, I see what's happening here. So super cool stuff. Thanks for celebrating, you guys. We got some live viewers out there in the live studio audience. If you want to celebrate, right there on the screen, you can see how to celebrate. Just go to wcsinfo.cc/CoffeeTalk. Make sure you use a capital C and a capital T on Coffee Talk. And you can enter a celebration. We'd love to hear from you. Speaking of celebrations, that's the first thing we do on the agenda always is we celebrate, then we hit some information. Tonight's information is super exciting, so I can't wait to talk about what we're talking about tonight. And then the question and answer we used to do at the very end of the Coffee Talk, but it's ongoing. If you got a question, throw it in there. If it's about a topic that we're talking about, throw it in there. Also, we're going to be doing a little crowdsourcing tonight. What do you want to see happen next at Westlake? Get your fingers ready because we want to hear from you. So your celebration here of families, put something in. Batten, we got one already?
Just to show that this form actually is working and we've got people out there, we have a celebration. Can I share it?
Please.
Okay. Let's celebrate dancing. It's wonderful to see the school holding these fun and important events for the kids. They wouldn't happen without the support, time, and dedication of the admin team, staff, and teachers like the amazing Mrs. Grimaldi at the high school and many other staff members. Looking forward to the middle school dance on Friday. Thanks to all the staff, chaperones, planners, and helpers. They are the best. And I would give I'd give our panel a chance to guess who that celebration is from one of our faves.
We know who it is.
Mrs. Johnson?
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you for kicking it off, Mrs. Johnson. We really appreciate you sharing celebration, and anybody else who's out there, please drop one in. We love reading them.
Yeah, I love it. And look, she acknowledged all the staff work that goes into it, but like we got a bunch of parents who are volunteering for the middle school dance. So like, hey, it doesn't happen without those parents. So that's a shout out to all of our amazing parents and families. Let's dive in and just riff through some celebrations real quick. Mrs. Batten, will you kind of talk about our Key Club, how they came over to the K-8?
Yeah, I think in last month's Coffee Talk, I celebrated our Key Club being chartered, which was really exciting. And our Key Club, which is a service club, so they provide service to the community, was able to come over to our K-8 campus and do a campus cleanup. And it was so fun because they interacted with some students who were like, oh, are you in trouble? Is that why you're cleaning up? They're like, no. This is our school community. We want to make sure it stays clean, and we're doing it because it's part of our high school club, and we love providing service. And so it was a chance for Key Club to share their message. We have another group of students coming over on Thursday. There are so many Key Club members who wanted to come that we had to split them into two groups. So it was fun to get over there and have that cleanup.
Well, I think it's really the first opportunity to say, hey, high schoolers, go walk the walk and show some stewardship, one of our core values to our K-8ers, and they really did such a great job. And now we're talking about 8th graders going on a shadow day to the high school. Like, here we go, people. We're starting to cross-collaborate. Oh, it's so exciting. Next celebration up here is spoken word. Kaya, you want to riff on that one? I love this one.
I do. I love this one too, and it's such a good community builder for our 8th grade students. But they spend a long time learning about poetry and about how to express themselves through their written and their spoken word. So they write. Sometimes they write as individuals. Sometimes they write as a group. But then they write poetry using figurative language, and it's beautiful. And sometimes there's serious topics where they're talking about how they're growing and learning about who they are, and then there's some that are silly about like fruit, and so you laugh and cry with these students. But this year we were able to be back in person, and we gathered these students outside, and they celebrated each other, and they celebrated their wins. And when kids got embarrassed or shy, they snapped and they clapped and they cheered for each other. And it's such a moment where we watch these 8th graders shine, and we watch their teachers shine with them. The teachers feel so proud of them. They get a golden mic at the end. It's such a great opportunity. I love it. It fills my bucket to see all these kids shining like that. So I think Amber's son might be in a picture in the middle there. So
he's right there. Oh, that's right. Did you get to see the video, Houston? Did you get to see your son's? No?
I have not seen the video. No,
I'll go steal it.
I've seen this picture.
I'll go steal the video for you because we definitely got it on video. Oh, it's such a great event. What's up next? Hey, you want to celebrate our spelling bee champ right there, Ms. Houston?
Absolutely. So we want to congratulate Ray Hahn for winning the 21-22 Westlake Charter School school-wide spelling bee. He's in 8th grade. He spelled all 20 words with 100% accuracy. He will be given the opportunity to represent our amazing school at the regional spelling bee competition. And congratulations to him. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, I got to see. I saw him in the parking lot the other day, and I was like, "Hey, man, I didn't get a chance to say so. Congratulations!" He was just glowing. He's like, "Yeah, it was some tough words." So that was really cool. Oh, I should have had you celebrate. Will you take this one, Mrs. Houston?
Of course. I love all these pictures.
Me too.
So we're celebrating Walking School Bus. For those of you not familiar with Walking School Bus, this is a joint project with us and Jive. Jive is the North Natomas transportation group. And so you can see pictures there. We walk rain or shine, and kids come out with umbrellas. Right now, obviously, they haven't needed them, but we walk every single day from Burberry Park, and we leave at 8 a.m. And then we also, for the first time this year, if you can see the picture on the right, we have an iPad out where students can now just scan themselves in when they have walked or biked or scooted or however their active way to school was. They can scan in and they earn points and they earn prizes and all kinds of other things. So it's just a great program, and the weather is fantastic. So please get out there, be active, And we'll have Bike Month coming up soon and all kinds of other Jive events.
I love it. I love it. So fun. So fun. It's my turn to celebrate, so I'll take this slide. I'm just kidding. Mrs. Batten, you got to take this one. This is like so amazing. Will you tell us about our winter formal?
Absolutely. So you see pictures here of the club at Natomas Park, and this was the site for our winter formal. Our Miss Johnson shouted out Mrs. Grimaldi, who definitely needs lots of celebration and praise in making this event look the way it did, and her attention to detail was felt by all dance attendees. But I would be remiss if I didn't celebrate some others as well. Dr. Galloway, who teaches our Planting Revolution elective, her students participated in the creation of some charcuterie cups and some fruit kebabs. So we had some really fancy snacks for students that they were excited to have. And then we had an amazing team who came out to chaperone that dance. We had teachers and staff chaperone that dance. Mrs. Caillou was at the dance and chaperoned the whole thing. And so it was just a wonderful event. I think something that speaks to our student culture. So we have 135 freshmen on our campus. We sold 100 tickets to the dance, which was just a percentage that I think typically you don't see in high school, right? We had so many students who were interested in going. And then each of those 35 students, I talked to all of them. I'm like, hey, are you going? And they're like, oh, my sister's wedding, or oh, we've got, so there was disappointment and just an energy to continue to have school events. And so the night was magical from the start to the finish. I could talk about it for hours. Yeah. I'll jump off, but just know that it was such a great moment for our students and for our staff, to see our students interacting that way. So thanks to everyone who made it possible.
Well done to the whole team. It was what a cool event. It was so well put together. I mean, it looks a bit like a wedding. I mean, it's so classy, well put together, great formal event. And we canceled this event or postponed it because remember we were going to have it in early January. The Omicron surge came. We had to punt it, and so to have it happen as the Omicron surge is fading, and as we talk about what comes next, this is like a cool little kickoff event for all that could come in the coming months for our community reconnecting. So yeah, what a great celebration. Hey, can I take this one, Jen? Yeah. Hey, this is such a cool celebration. If you are out and about on the weekend and can make it by the Crocker Art Museum before March 27th, keep an eye out for our student work. Our students are on display, and even one of our students has a piece of artwork on this flyer right here. Westlake is well represented in the art community, and at the Crocker Art Museum right now, several of our students have their artwork on display. So you can go to Crocker and wander around and find the youth art section and check out some of our students' work. Just so cool. And they're so proud. If you talk to the kids, they're just like, oh, you saw my artwork? No big deal. And they're just glowing. So what a great opportunity to have our kids really shine in such a wonderfully public place like that. Caillou, you want to talk about this? I think there's a huge lizard on screen here.
Yeah, so this was really fun for our third graders. So we were able to bring Explore at Science Center to our campus, and our explorers in third grade got to rotate through this flex room. And it was joyful learning at its prime, right? They came out and they were super excited. There's a lizard, and it was just really took the connection of the community, because we usually do this. And it was something that was like, oh, this is usual. This is normal. Third graders get to experience this. And so it was a great opportunity to start, just like you talked about the dance. We're like, hey, this is the start of like bringing things back onto campus and allowing our students to have these really great learning experiences. So it's fun.
Yeah, it's so funny, right? We decided we couldn't do this in the fall. We weren't having any non-essential visitors in the fall. As we got to like Olympic triathlon in early December, we're like, oh, we're starting to make things happen. Then Omicron interrupts us. But just as it starts to come down, we're like, okay, bring these things. We postponed, but now things are starting to bring on. It's very exciting time. Very exciting time. Jen, will you also just kind of talk to that one right there? It was such a cool piece.
Yeah, so we had such a good experience. Our fourth graders, this is 3 of our fourth grade classes. And so we have been doing something called a positive passport. You've heard me talk about it last time on Coffee Talk. And these classes worked on specific behaviors in their classroom that they wanted to get better at. They improved, and it was specific to their class. So these fourth grade classes said, hey, we all want to go to the park at the same time. So they did. They got field trip permission slips and they went down to the park, and you would have thought they won the lottery, honestly. Like, they were eating together, they were playing together. Some of the kids playing basketball were like, do you want to stop and do you want to play with us, Mrs. Caillou? And I was like, well, I'm just going to go back to the campus. But they had such a great time. And it was just, again, our teachers giving them opportunities to connect out to our community. And that park is right next door. And they just had the best time. And it's helping improve behavior. And kids are working towards goals together as a class, which is awesome.
The positive passport is pretty awesome. Ms. Batten, are there any other celebrations in the form there? No, you don't see. Well, I'm going to give you this next one because this next is a cool, again, really cool opportunity for our students.
Yep. So I mentioned our Planting Revolution elective, which is if you talk to a high school ninth grader, even if they're not in this elective, they will tell you about this elective because on Wednesdays, our entire campus fills with glorious food cooking smells. And they had an opportunity to have an expert in the culinary field in our region come on campus, and Chef Raveen Patel came and cooked and showed our students some knife skills. They got to cut up leeks and make a leek pasta, and they've then taken those skills forward. And so it was really cool. I think there are so many facets I could go down on as to how this impacted our students. One of the most interesting ones was that I think the student in the picture that you can't see was talking to Chef Patel about careers in the culinary field, and that, you know, like so many other fields, we only see those forward-facing careers, right? The chef. We think about, if I want to go into culinary, I've got to be the chef. And he was like, there are so many other things you could do, right? And was able to talk about the pathway that he took through college and how he got to that space. So just connecting students to those real world career opportunities, I think, was also a fun byproduct of that event.
I think there's something kind of funny about the picture where you have like Chef Raveen Patel and their culinary skills, and you've also kind of got like the vending machine with like potato chips, and it's kind of a juxtaposition. It's really funny to me. Sorry, Houston, you were going to say something?
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, this is not the first time Chef Patel has come out to Westlake. He supported our school for so many years, coming out to some events that we've had in the past. So I'm just so thankful that he continues to work with us on educating our students on like healthy eating and then career choices, just so many cool things.
Did we do that? It was like a healthy living night, right?
Yeah, he did it 2 years.
Yeah, it was so cool. So cool.
I hid my face because Chef Patel and our Planting Revolution has informally taken on our vending machine as a project. They're like, we could have healthier snacks in that vending machine, even though the snacks in the vending machine are really quite healthy when compared to some others. But the juxtaposition is funny on the screen.
Yeah, it is fun. It's fun. All right, team. If you are out there in YouTube Landia and you want to drop in a celebration anytime in the next 45 minutes, you drop it in and we will celebrate your celebration on screen. If there's nothing though in the chat right now, I'll just jump in and take the first slide, because I think my slide and Mrs. Houston's slides kind of connect to one another. Right, so the format is like we celebrate, we talk about some information, and use that link right there on your screen if you want to join the conversation in any way, and we'll get your comments on air here. So I have been for months now kind of kicking off with health and safety, right? And this one's a really interesting one. There is conversation at the California Department of Public Health, CDPH, and the Sacramento County Public Health across the state of California regarding new masking rules, which is obviously, put people into camps about should you or should you not. That's not what we're here to talk about tonight. What we're here to talk about tonight is like, what does this mean for schools? And it's really exciting to imagine what happens next, because it's an indicator. It's just, if things start to shift, it indicates, well, what else might shift? Well, what can we do next together as a community? Like Houston said, like we're celebrating Valentine's for the first time in 2 years in person. Now we're having in-class field lessons. We're doing these things. What could happen next? So I just want to report out that the 16th was, what says 2/16, but I think I was actually, oh, got it. Sorry. So tomorrow, the California Department of Public Health and Sacramento County Public Health are lifting the indoor masking rules in most public settings. So if you're going to the grocery store or the barber, it seems like the indoor masks have been removed for all vaccinated people. The thing to note is this doesn't apply to schools or childcare settings or public transportation, which it may soon. So something is changing in California, but it's not changing for schools. And some people are like, oh man, I wanted to change for schools. Well, hold on. The California Department of Public Health came out yesterday, did a big presentation. I got a chance to watch it live to make sure I was tuned into what was happening. And they announced that on February 28th, they will come back out and they will talk about what masking looks like in schools. And what they said is the data is heading in the right direction. And they said it is not if, but when masking rules will change in school. So there's no longer this like, oh, are we ever going to change? It's like, oh, there is change. The question is when. So they're going to come out on February 28th with this news. So we're going to definitely tune in and see what's happening on February 28th. Now you'll note that February 28th is the Monday after February break. It's a staff work day and a non-student day. So while you all are extending your February break on that Monday, we'll be here tuned in and we'll immediately like get out to families and say, okay, this is what we know. Now, CDPH has said like, okay, are we going to rip the Band-Aid on the 28th? They indicated during this question and answer period that we were watching that they may give schools time to prepare, right? So I think, who cares what I think, but what I think is plausible, like in the state of Oregon when they announced theirs, they said, okay, on this date, going forward 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is, this is the forward date that will change. So I'm really looking forward to February 28th. I want to find out what they come up with. You know, what's really interesting, right, is while they may make masks optional indoors for students, which for a lot of people that is awesome, they may not have that type of flexibility for staff because staff fall under the Cal OSHA rules, which is the California Occupational Safety Health and Safety Administration. So there's going to be some bumpiness in the road going forward. But again, like I think what's really positive about this moment is, A, we have a date where somebody's going to come out and tell us what happens next. Great. That date is February 28th. There are only 3 school days between now and February 28th because we go to February break at the end of this week and then bam, we come back and now we've got data from the state telling us what we do next. What I think is cool about that though is like, it allows us between right now and basically a week from now to dream like, what's next? Like if masks are potentially becoming not an indoor mandate, they're an option, like then what happens next for school and for community? Like, so we've been starting to talk internally, obviously kind of as a team, like what happens like now? And now being like the 28th or like, you know, March 1st, like as soon as they pull that string and tell us whatever, what can we do right away as a school? What should we do next? And then what like obviously happens like at some point, because you can't do everything at once, right? You can always stretch this little rubber band. We're like, oh, stretch the rubber band and catch up and then just your little rubber band. You can't do everything at once. You'll snap the rubber band. But like, it's like, you know, we're kicking around with our teaching staff. We have a big meeting tomorrow. We're going to talk to our teaching staff. We got a survey that we're doing internally for our teaching staff around the school part. But then we're going to send out a survey to our families as well and be like, hey, what do you want to see for the school part? But what do you want to see for the community part? Let me give you some examples. On the school side, like what happens now? Like if they come out and say, hey, folks, the data shows that masks aren't going to be required any longer. Like, hey, are we ready to do on-campus arrival and dismissal? Like Jen said, it's beautiful here right now. At what point are we like, let's get our families on campus, at least outdoors. Like let's move on something now. Well, then what comes next? I mean, I don't know. Are we doing like big events next, like outdoor events? Like, are we doing international festival as is that possible next? Maybe. Well, what's later then? Is a talent show maybe not going to happen because it's indoors? Maybe we have maybe that's a later, right? Or somebody mentioned like, oh, okay, well, can the middle schoolers go back and eat inside the cafeteria because things are all moving around? You're like, well, yeah. Problem is you'd have to rebuild the whole schedule and change everybody's like, when time the bell rings, you're like, maybe that waits till fall. So I don't know. We'd love to hear from our staff. What do you think is possible now, next, and what probably waits till later? But I'd also like to hear from families, man. Like, what do you think is now? What are you chomping at the bit? Like, yes, let's get this community reconnected. And so the next slide is like Mrs. Houston's wave report, and we're going to jump into that community side. I'll survey you about the school side. Hey, tell me on the survey, where do you see us going now, next, and later? Arrival and dismissal. Are we putting recess back together out of activity zones? What are we doing about, on campus, even outdoor volunteerism during the day if it's not yet indoor, now versus next? Who knows, right? I'd love to hear from our families on the school side. But on the community side, let's jump into this slide here. Wave Talk with Amber Houston. what does come next? Houston, this is your slide. Talk us through what we're seeing.
So this month we decided to do things a little bit differently. Usually I'm talking about what is coming up next, but now it's our decision as a community. Let's start figuring out what's most important to us. It was kind of fun today. I made a list of all the events we typically hold over the course of a year, and there's a lot. And so I was just writing them all down, and I'm like, okay, we can't do them all, but what can we do? So this really is going to take all of us, not only to brainstorm or to say what sounds most fun, but best for your family, best for our community, which is really what Dr. Ike and I have been focused on, is bringing our community back together. What are the ways that we can do that this spring before the end of the school year? And I want to hear from you, but we'll also need lots of volunteers because some of these committees, haven't really been together for 3 years. And so we need everybody to start volunteering for those committees again, rethinking some of the events, relaunching events. So on this slide, I put together just some pictures I had on my phone from some really fun events. And on the left side is our science night, which was always extremely popular and well attended, where kids were just students and adults, really. Everybody was just kind of doing hands-on little science experiments and learning while they did it. Below that is it's actually a different type of picture from Fall Festival, I believe. And so we did some cool things, but I mean, we're talking about festivals where we were inside doing some things.
Is that what that is? Is that the cakewalk?
It's like the cakewalk, yeah. It's just the dessert walk, yes. So I thought that was just a fun picture of us inside. The middle picture is always one of our most well-attended events, which was movie night. And I mean, that's a good option too in spring, is maybe it depends on the light, but try to do it outside. Sure. There's different things that we could try to do on a Friday night. Then up above there is bingo. That's bingo.
Bingo. I was trying to figure out what that was. Bingo night.
Which was typically the first event we held in the fall in September, right after we came back to school. And then the one below that is our beloved International Festival, which, I mean, we all have missed greatly. So there's just so many events. I was making lists, like we did game night, as we mentioned earlier with Chef Patel. We did the healthy living night. We had our Princess and Me dance, which a lot of people were texting me this year from other campuses. Are we going to still do that? And I'm like, well, we're not this year, but
maybe that's it. So when we get now, next, and later, maybe we're like, hey, that's probably a later, but what can we do next? And what can we do now? And I love it. Okay, if we can't really feel great about figuring out how to do the movie night, I love what you said. Like maybe right now or next, we're cool with moving it outdoors somehow, and that's okay. And one of the things I was riffing about the talent show today with somebody, and I was like, hey, I don't know, maybe you could have an outdoor talent show. You throw a stage up outside, have some fun, But then it came to like, well, the staff that typically put on the talent show are buried in other committees right now because things have shifted. And I'm like, well, what if 10 parents were like, I'll put on a talent show? You know what I mean? Like, we can rethink anything. So if you're out there in the audience, you're like, well, hey, me and 10 of my friends could put on this movie event or this talent show event. Like, we would love to hear that, right?
Absolutely. And I also think it's a fun idea to consider a few parents also leading some grade level events, because we've heard from a lot of parents that say, I've never met really anybody in my students' class in that grade. So if we had 5 parents say, I want to host like an outdoor kind of game thing for all of the 3rd grade families. And so we have a night there where, people kind of mingle and get to know each other on campus, things like that. So what do we want to see?
Yeah. What have you structured I was always thinking structured like an event that you could replicate grade by grade by grade that was somewhat relevant. Hey, we're gonna have a kindergarten night. You're gonna have cornhole for the parents and a movie going over here for the kids, and the parents can mingle playing cornhole and the kids can be watching a movie. But you could do that for 1st grade and then 2nd grade and then 3rd grade and then 4th. And because gosh, there are people in your child's class, you're like, I either haven't seen him in 2 years or I never met him.
And you may not even know who is in the class because it's hard when you're not walking in.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fantastic idea to start building the community in smaller ways.
Yeah, I love the grade level idea. I love it. All right, hey, Caillou, Batten, I'm putting you guys on the spot. Like we're dreaming up things that you hope to see come back on the community side. No bad ideas, because it's not like this is on YouTube and anybody's gonna see this. Right, no bad ideas. Like, what's something you would look forward to on the community end of things? Caillou?
There's so many things. I mean, I honestly, I look forward to parents walking their children to their door and saying goodbye at the door and picking up at the door. I know that sounds like a just a little stretch, but that's a good stretch for our community. And to be able to greet a mom that you've never met at the door and be like, "Oh my gosh, I've seen you in the parking lot for like a year. Never knew you were in the same class as mine." Because our kids don't always share. Well, like Amber was saying, they don't always share, or they don't know their last name, and they're like, and they have nicknames. So I think that's the one thing that I celebrate or look forward to, is seeing our campus flood with our grown-ups.
Yeah.
And because we see it after school, and so to see it during those 8 to 3:30 hours would be awesome too.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, Ms. Batten, like, hey, we got a whole new high school that's just now, like, kind of starting to open 6 months in. What's a community style event you'd love to see at the high school?
Well, I would love to see families come on campus and do a tour of some sort, right? I know we've had lots of families. We're going to talk Shadow Day, and that's been sent out through the weekly, so that we've got that in plan for students. But I think having our families come be part of that. And then we have some high school leadership students who want to put on some events. So I'm thinking like a student-led event would be really fun. While Miss Grimaldi definitely was the brains and the execution behind that dance, so much of those ideas came from students. So our high school students are ready to do some things. So I'd love to see them maybe partnering with Wave to put on an event in our Oasis for our families.
Love it. I love it. Hey, if you're out there in YouTube land and you got ideas, throw them in we want to hear them, man. Ms. Caillou, you got something in the tank there?
Well, I was just thinking about open house. Like, if we could have an open house that allowed our families to come on campus and have some type of like, ta-da, we learned these things at school this year, would be kind of a cool experience.
Yeah. Yeah, so many possibilities. So, like, what happens now? What happens next? What happens later? We're going to have to talk to our community. And we're all going to want everything. And we can do everything, anything we want. We can't do everything we want. So we're going to have to decide, like, what is appropriate. Maybe it's open house. Maybe it's not open house. We'll see how everyone moves forward on this piece. And we'll work on it together for sure. It's exciting, everybody. Look, I know it's been a hard 2 years. We're going to have our very first in-person Westlake Charter School board meeting on March 10th in the library. Now, I'll tell you, on March 12th, 2020, I stood in the Westlake Charter School library in front of our entire staff, and I said, hey, everybody, don't freak out. We're going to close school, but I think it's only for a couple of weeks. And that was 2 years ago. In almost 2 years to the date, we're going to be back in that library for our first public meeting, and I'm really excited about it. We announced at the board this last board meeting that this is what we're going to do, is have our board meetings go back to live. So, look, I think that's an indicator of what comes next. So we'll work together on this, and it'll be on the school side. What are we doing now, next, and later? Is it arrival dismissal? Is it drop off and pick up at the door? Is it eventually open house? Is that next? Is that later? Where are we at on that? And on the community side, what are we doing? Let's get some volunteerism plugged in and build some awesomeness. And I love the student leadership angle, Em. I love that piece. All right, team. Let's dive in. I know not every slide is about this. What is next? High school happenings with Mrs. Batten. What do you got, Ms. Batten?
Well, speaking of events and things that are happening, some of these pieces we've talked about, but I just wanted to come back and touch on a piece we talked about in the fall, which is our path to high school. So I will go back to my tried and true statement that our high school is truly an extension of our K-8 program. And that as we build this high school, we're building it with our students in mind and developing a high school that will help them on that path towards graduation and beyond. And so we really want to ensure that our students and families know all about our high school. I think there's a lot of choices in Natomas. We're so lucky as families with students in Natomas that when it comes to schools, we get to, we have so many choices, and it's really important to our team that our 8th grade families this year have all the information they need. So we've planned out a series of events and information sessions to help inform those families and students. And we're kind of gearing back up as we get into spring, and as we're seeing, some positive health and safety information. So I wanted to share that path for all the families out there. On Friday, February 18th, our students had a chance to sign up for a lunch and learn. They have to sign up for that in leadership. And what that means is that our student council, who, if you're a CoffeeTalk watcher, you've seen our beautiful student council picture. All of our student council members are coming over, and they're going to host small groups of 10 eighth graders each. Eighth graders have submitted questions, and then student council has a brief presentation they're going to share, and then they're going to answer those eighth grade questions. Everything from, do you wear uniforms at high school, to is the food good? Those are kind of the span of questions.
That's all you really need to know, really. That's it.
All you really need to know. So we're excited for that lunch and learn event on Friday. And then permission slips are going home on Thursday to all of our eighth grade families to sign up for Shadow Day. Melissa Grunholtz and Carla Furman, who are just two amazing masterminds behind so many events we have on campus, have created this schedule that has students going from the K-8 to the high school, doing a tour. Again, we've got students who are some of our student council students, but then some other club leaders and some other students leading and guiding these tours through campus. So that's going to be a really fun event that all of our eighth graders take part in.
Just not to harp on the what comes now, what comes next, what comes later on the school side, not the community side, but you are describing a field lesson. These students, eighth graders, are going out on a field lesson. Well, here you go, everybody. Like, this is apparently what's happening now and next, right? This field lesson's happening. I know sixth grade's getting ready for Sierra Outdoor Schools. Eighth grade's talking. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to go backward. Let's keep going forward. This is exciting, though. I'm so excited about the Shadow Day.
It's going to be really fun. And these are the next two pieces that we did last year that are in our path to high school that will take place this year. And I'm excited to see how they can evolve or change as we go through the year. So students, a huge piece and something that I talked about several times our team talked about several times during CoffeeTalk is that our school it really has a values student voice. I lost my word there, but that so many of the pieces that we have celebrated throughout this year have come to fruition because we've asked our students to share their thoughts. And one of those pieces is our student elective survey. So something that everyone may not know is that last year, as we went out to look for an elective teacher, the amazing Mrs. Firsty, who is part of our high school team, we asked our students, what do you want to see? What electives do you want to see offered? And art, which was exciting for us as a K-8 school that has invested in art for all of our students. Art, 70% of our 7th and 8th graders said art, like some sort of art elective. And so we brought in art electives, which has been phenomenal. And so we're going to go back to our middle school students and reissue that survey and talk about what electives we're hoping to see in the next year. So that will come out in the next month or so. If your 8th grader has their Path to High School card, they're going to get those punches on to get a special piece of personalized swag at the end of the year. Spring attendance at spring sports, as we see how things may change, attendance at spring sports and coming out to see our boys volleyball team and our girls soccer team take the court in the field. It will be something that will encourage our 8th graders to have hopefully some special events around that piece.
Yeah. Hey, Mrs. Batten, we won't go into it now, but I'm hearing rumor that we are being invited to be part of a super legit league in the CIF, a full year ahead of schedule. So anybody out there thinking, hey, how good are your sports? Turns out, and maybe you'll announce this next month, but the league that we've been invited to is like, oh, okay, we're going to be playing against some competitive teams. This is really exciting. So good job on sports to Wesley Charter High School. Sorry, next.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm like, I want to talk about it now. I will.
Sorry.
Stay tuned to March's CoffeeTalk. We'll bring it back then for sure. And then I think a really fun event that we were able to do last year was a meet your teacher, your advisory teacher event in class schedules. And it was a chance for our 9th graders to come. They came to our K-8 at that point in time. So now I'm like, oh, what could this look like in the Oasis or somewhere there? So we came out in May in our parking lot. You had to walk up to your advisory teacher, get your summer reading book and some information about your class schedule. So looking forward to that event later in the spring as well.
Yeah, what does that look like this year? That's great. That's great. So exciting. So if you got an eighth grader out there, so much going on, talking about like what could high school look like, creating that bridge to high school, feeling invited to a high school as an eighth grader, feeling wanted at that high school is I think a really key first step to a kid. Like, hey, this is the place I want to go because this place wants me there, and all of these should do that. It's really cool. Really cool.
I would say, if I could just say something to our eighth grade families, I think, I think about our eighth grade families every day. I had parents last year who watched, I think, what we did to invest in our eighth grade families and bringing them up to our high school and say, is that just a this year thing, or are you going to keep doing that? Will we continue to? And I want you to know that last year it was just me thinking about, not just me, it was our whole team thinking about them. This year, whenever our teachers meet together, we're talking about those ninth graders. We're talking about what we can do to ensure that their freshman experience is as amazing as possible. And so, yes, to the question, like, do you want us? We definitely want our eighth grade families to come over. The experience this year has just been tremendous. There are not words to describe how amazing this freshman year has been. And we have learned so much and intend to make it even better for your eighth graders as they come in to join us freshman year.
Yeah, it's good. Lots to be proud of and lots to celebrate. Speaking of celebrating, let's celebrate K-8 with Mrs. Caillou. Mrs. Caillou, what do you got? Oh, I love this one.
Yeah, I've just been thinking, sometimes just the peek behind the curtain of what's really happening on our campus is helpful. And I've been talking to a lot of potential new parents to our school, and the pillar of personalization really makes me feel happy as I walk around campus every day. I see things happening. Today we had some GATE enrichment groups, and so students that are part of the GATE program, Gifted and Talented Education, they meet with instructional aides every Tuesday during their lunch, and they get to do these enriching activities. And that's one group of students. You're like, put that to the side, which is a great opportunity for them. And then you have other groups of students, and you might see in this picture here is a group of students that maybe needed some other academic support. And so they maybe got pulled out and they worked together with an instructional aide and went back in their classroom and worked on their level in their classroom. Our instructional aides go in the classroom and work with students that maybe are high achieving at mathematics, and the teacher works with students that maybe are struggling in math. But this is happening across the board in every classroom. When you look around, there's differentiation happening where everybody has strengths and everybody has areas to grow. And our teachers this week, we call it assessment week. And one of the important part of that is that our teachers are in the primary grades, they're doing skills assessments. They're looking at what basic phonics and reading skills do these students have and where have they grown. But that assessment data is then going to help us to group students in the classroom and to serve them right where their level is. And I love the pillar of personalization that we have at our school, because it allows us to really constantly check our thinking. Like when we're building lessons and we're working in our classroom, how do we personalize and connect with each of our students to help them in their own pathway? And so I'm talking on the academic side, but I would believe that we also believe in the social emotional part of this, and that we look at how do we need to personalize this experience for these 3 kids in my class. And so I just this is happening all around, and I'm proud of the work that we're having on our campus, and I can't wait for parents to kind of come back in a little bit more and see it in action. But I get to see it every day, and I'm just proud of our kiddos that are growing, and I'm proud of our staff that continue to work on this personalization all the time for our students.
So good. It's so good. Team, we are kind of at the end of our presentations, and I know we just wrap it right up, but just I just kind of want to like put it back out there where I think we are in this moment today. And that is that we're just getting this information about like, oh, maybe things are changing back to what we once called like just, a little more normal. February 28th is a big day for us. We're going to find out what comes next. We're going to be planning on 2 sides of the house. What happens now, next, and later at school, and what happens now, next, and later with our community. And I want to tell you, you can go to the YouTubes and find the board meeting from this month, February. The Wesley Charter School Board of Directors got together and they had a strategic plan workshop where they looked at all 5 strategic plan goals and all 23 subsequent objectives. And then they got an opportunity to say, hey, if you could only focus on a few things in the fall, what would you be focusing on? And overwhelmingly, our board of directors says you need to focus on reconnecting this community, getting our families to feel like they are part of Westlake, that they aren't isolated because of this long 2-year pandemic situation. Like, this is the time to double down and say, we are who we are because of that mission that says we demonstrate what is possible when school and community collaborate. So like, this is that moment that we've all been waiting for to say, okay, let's get back in this tank together and figure out what it means to re-engage as a community and rebuild. And that's going to take some expressions of vulnerability, some assuming positive intentions, some engaging and some trust building and communicating and listening. We got 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should listen twice as much as we speak. I kind of fail at that. I get that. But like, we are going to engage in that process. We got surveys coming out this week for students, for staff and for families. Get students involved as well. And we're going to start diving into what can we do now, what can we do next, and what can we do later that will get us back to who we are as a school and living toward that mission statement. So keep your eyes on Westlake. I think we sent an email out tonight. I think there's an email that goes out later this week with the survey link in it. Try and knock it out before you go to February break so that you can just relax over February break, and then we can like disaggregate your data because we need that before we get to February 28th and find out what the state of California says. Team, anything else to add on this topic? I know we're at the end of the show, or is there anything in the comment tank? Nothing in the tank? All right, parting thoughts from Mrs. Batten, because I got time to kill, so I'm just gonna point at people. Hey, last thoughts, Mrs. Batten? It's a couple days before February break.
Yeah, I could go very meta right now and just think about exactly what you're speaking to, Dr. Ike, that March of 2020, we were in this place and we're watching ourselves 2 years later kind of arrive at a place on the other side and, you know, maybe seeing some really exciting light at the end of the tunnel. I know personally that I am so excited to connect with our community in ways that feel familiar to us. We have the most amazing community at Westlake. And so excitement, and then a thank you to that community that has rode alongside of us over these 2 years, that has gone over the hills. And, you know, there may be more hills to come, who knows? If we've learned anything, it is don't predict the future. But our community has just done, I think, bolstered this team through tough times. And we are so appreciative of each and every one of you. We've said over and over again, this has been a tough road. It's 2 years of a tough road, but there's no other place I would rather be than walking alongside our Westlake Charter School community.
Yeah, so. I love that. Houston, any moment of reflection before we sign off?
That was tough to follow. That was a fantastic, I mean, Mrs. Batten put it fantastically. Yeah. But I just want to shout out one more time that we want to hear from you. Yeah. So if you have ideas, especially for community, send me an email, amberhusted@gmail.com. Send it to admin@westlakecharter.com, or Phil, put it in the survey. We just want to hear from you. Yep. And we want to start working together to make this all possible and to really just build those connections again. We're so excited for that.
Yeah. Caillou, you've got kindergarten and first grade families who like have never stepped on foot. You're like, as the K-8 principal, like I was in the parking lot today and spoke with a parent who I had never actually, she's like, oh, I think I know who you are. I'm like, I think I know who you are. We had never been on campus together. And I thought, oh man, this is gonna be good. Any last parting reflective moments, Jen?
Just a ditto. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for this community as well. And so Emily said it great. And Amber, like, we'd love to hear from you. I'm a phone call away. So if you're like, I don't want to digitally send us a comment, and give us a call. And I'd love to just speak to you as a human. I meet you at the flagpole and talk to you too. We are interested in hearing your voice. We serve this community, and we're grateful for that.
I love it. All right, families, thanks for tuning in. We will catch you next time. Maybe it's in person. Oh, Ms. Batten, were you trying to catch the train before it left the station?
Yeah, I just think Ms. Johnson put a question, and I think just to her as a question about recess equipment. We'll look into that and get back to you. So
very good.
Yep.
I'm dying to hear what the question is, but yeah, very good. Yeah, send it in. I love it. Hey, everybody, thank you for being part of Westlake Charter School. Thanks for being part of tonight's show. Maybe our next show is a hybrid, both on YouTube and live in person. I'm seeing some nods. Okay, we'll see you at the show. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, let's explore. All right, thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Whoop, whoop.